Rebekah Buege, thank you
Mhm.
so much for joining me and a very, very warm welcome to Thrive Solo. I'm very excited to have you here. And before we get into our conversation, can you just tell our listeners, just briefly, who you are and what you do?
Yeah, it's such a simple question, but sometimes it's hard to answer, right? And when you're a single woman, I think there's so many things you can be. So I'm a lot of things. I'm Rebekah Buege. I live in Minnesota, but I've lived kind of all around. Actually, spent 6 months in London
Did
recently. So we
you?
can chat about that. Yeah. I have a corporate job, so I work a 9 to 5, but it's fully remote. So I also write books. I do body neutrality coaching. I've started posting a lot on TikTok about just being single. I'm sure that's how you found me. Yeah, just whatever pulls me in. I like to travel and do all of that, but mostly, I guess, I'm just a single woman exploring the world.
Well, it sounds like you're a very busy single woman doing a hell of a lot of things, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Gosh. Well, first of all, I'm going to have to just go back to you saying that you lived in London for 6 months.
yeah.
Where and when and how come?
Yes. So I lived in LA for a few years, and my roommate in LA, who I didn't know before moving there, she is British. And so during COVID and all of that, she couldn't renew her visa, so she had to go back. And so she was living in London. I was visiting her. And in 2023, so it was 2 years ago now, I work remotely, right? So I was able to work something out with my job where I could go stay with her in London for 6 months without having to go through any official visa processes. And I was staying in Clapham, Clapham South
Oh my
is my
God.
tube station on the Northern Line.
Oh my
So shout
God.
out to them.
Oh my God. Well, funnily
I'm
enough,
obsessed with the tube stations and like the tube, like all of that public transit is so amazing because we really don't have that here in the US.
oh my God, I love that. Do you know, it's funny because some of my listeners will know this, some of them won't. So I lived in London for like more than 20 years, but for the last just over a year and a half, actually, it's coming up to 2 years now. So I still have a flat in London, but it's currently rented out for reasons I won't bore you with.
Yeah.
But in my time in London, although I've lived in my flat for like 12, 13 years, before that, I moved around a lot, and Clapham South was also my local tube stop for a while. Do you know Aberville Road? Do you remember Aberville? Can you think of Aberville Road? That's Clapham South. Anyway, sorry, listeners, completely go off on a tangent, but I used to live on Aberville Road, which is properly Clapham South, but also lived
Oh,
up north for a bit.
I know Abbeville Road. I would go there and get like a massage or something. There's like a little massage place there. You can get your
Yeah, and
nails
there's like
done down there,
restaurants
right?
and
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
a
went there
really
all the time.
nice little bit of Clapham actually. So anyway, I always love hearing about, people's sort of travels, especially if they've lived in London. And what did you think of it? Did you enjoy it?
I did. And I think I went during the wrong 6 months to go if you're going to pick. I went from October until end of March. So it was the winter time. And I
Okay.
still had a good time. I just love architecture. I love history. I love art. I love public transit, apparently. And it was great. It's a nice little gateway into the rest of Europe. I was able to travel around. And I think that's a big part, being a single woman, you have these opportunities that are so available to you,
Mm,
but not everyone takes advantage of them because of
yeah.
things like fear or just, I don't know, thinking that you need to be with someone in order to do these things. And sometimes that might be true in terms of like safety or whatever, but I've found it to more often not be true that you have to
Yeah.
be with someone or you should wait or any of that. So I'm just so thankful that I had that experience. But I love London. I can't wait to go back. I haven't been there in a couple of years now. But yeah,
Oh, well,
loved
thanks
it.
for telling us about that. And what you were just saying about being a single woman and kind of, just getting on and doing things rather than waiting. I definitely want to get into this conversation to that particular topic. But first of all,
Yeah.
before we do, can you just tell us a little bit about your story of being single and how you've come to being single at this point in your life? Just tell us a little bit about your relationship history, if you would.
Relationship history. Sure. Let's see. I didn't have my first boyfriend until I was 17. So I feel like that was a little late in terms of like high school boyfriends, at least in the US. Like everyone usually had a boyfriend, but I didn't until later on. Um, we dated for a few years, and it was definitely a relationship where if it would have continued, I think we would have gotten married and done that whole kind of small town Midwest life. But I just always knew that I didn't want that. And so I felt at a certain, I think I was maybe 18, 19. By the time I was like, you know what, I think I just need to let this guy go. He's a great guy, but we want different things. So I think I'm blessed to have that foresight at the young age of 19, 20 years old. And then, got into different relationships here and there. And I was actually engaged once. I was officially engaged once for over a year. But
Oh, wow.
again, it came back to this thing of like, do I want my life to be on this set path with the type of person who only wants kind of a limited standard life?
Yeah.
And I always knew that that answer was no for me. And so I knew that I had to exchange, the normal path in life with the things that I really wanted to see and experience. Because where
Mm.
I was at the time, southern Minnesota, a small town, there weren't many people who cared or would even try to go leave the country,
Yeah.
um, let alone live in Europe for 6 months. Like it just didn't happen. And that's why I moved out to LA. I was like, I just need to be around different people. And there's a lot of different people in LA. You meet a lot of different um, types of men, a lot of different types of women, a lot of different things going on out there. And it exposed me to a lot. And it exposed me to, some of the challenging things about being in a relationship with someone that's just not right for you. And I guess I just realized, I can either pursue a relationship that was not very successful. Like me pursuing a relationship directly has not gotten me anywhere. Or I could just pursue my life.
Mm.
And if I come across a man who's also pursuing the same thing, great. But if not, then I have to come to terms with that. And I have to find it within myself to be okay
Mm.
with like, what if I never get married? What if this never happens? Rather than telling myself, oh, it'll happen someday. It'll eventually happen. It's happened in the past. It'll happen again. I just threw that idea out and was like, well, what if it never happens? Then how would you live your life? What decisions would you make if you're not like waiting for someone to come in and, change your whole life? How would you do things? And that really gave me a lot of freedom with it. So I don't know if that answers the question.
I
I've
love
had
that answer.
relationships. I've had good ones. I've had bad ones. I've had surprising ones. But I haven't had one in a long time. And I've never felt more lonely than when I was in a bad relationship. So I think
Right.
loneliness gets wrapped up with singleness in a way that it isn't always fair to.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And this is, I've actually jotted down, I was going to ask you about this and I will a little bit later. But just to go back to one of the things that you said, which I loved so much, is that you said that you decided rather than pursuing a relationship, you were going to pursue life. And it's such a brilliant reframe of single life. If you ask that question, well, let's just say I was going to be alone forever, what would I do differently? How would
Mhm.
I live my life if I knew that I was going to be alone forever? What would I do differently? It's such an interesting way of thinking about it. Now, let me ask you, are you currently dating? And if so, how are you finding it?
I just like as like last week, just got back on the dating apps, just
Did
one,
you?
for a very specific reason though. I was like, I'm not looking for, the love of my life through this channel, but I am looking to just re-expose myself to the dating scene. Like I hadn't been on a date in months. I hadn't been dating in over a year, like years. And I realized I was like, I think this is starting to become this big scary thing in my mind of like, oh my God, I don't want to go. Like, and I don't want that. I don't want to feel like that about anything. And so I was like, I think it would be good for you to just like make a profile, see if anyone stands out, go on like one date in the next week. Just one. It doesn't even whatever. Like no expectations. Um, and I did. And we had drinks and it was nice conversation. We had dinner again earlier this week. And I'm really just taking it one interaction at a time rather than what my brain usually goes is like, where's the longevity of this? Where is this going? Are we going to be a fit long term? because I'm no longer thinking in terms of like, I need to find my person as soon as possible to get my life started. I'm thinking like, well, if I'm continuing to have a good time getting to know this person, then it can continue. And if I ever feel differently, it will stop. And it's a much better way to have the experience, I'll say. Like I don't know if it will result in anything, you know, worth keeping around, but it's a much better experience than I've ever had because I'm just expecting nothing, but
Yeah.
my standards are still like very, very high.
Right. And when you're coming at dating from a place of, I'm happy in my life right now, and I think it's the difference in your energy. I don't mean just, you, just one's energy. It's
One's
like,
energy, yeah.
are you coming to dating from a place of desperation, or are you coming to dating from a place of just going to see what happens?
Yeah.
And I think that makes, I mean, I've never done online dating. You won't know this, but I've literally never been on a dating app in my life and don't intend to. But I can imagine that it's so, I think it's like with so many other things in life, it's the energy that you're coming with. And if you are coming at anything from with an energy of kind of desperation or lack or what, desperate wanting, that isn't
Yeah.
necessarily the way to get the things that you want. So I love that you've kind of come at it this time with a very different outlook. Let me ask you actually, in this sort of more general dating world, what are your thoughts on the kind of state of dating in general and how men and women are currently relating to each other in the world right now? I'd love to get your thoughts on this.
Oh, it's a mess. I think it's an absolute mess. And I think this has happened for a few reasons. First, because we have made it far too easy for men to have access to women, whether it's through social media or just anything. We're so accessible, right? A man can open his phone and see thousands of women. Um, and it used to be the case that like you had to go outside and be and like seek out other people, whether it's for dating or friendships or anything. Everything has become so convenient. Everything has become so convenient, and we've lost our sense of community.
Mm.
Like we don't really have these circles of friends anymore that's like, hey, I just met this person and like he would be great for you. You should meet him. Like we don't really set people up anymore. We don't really have these like senses of communities because everything is just so convenient. Like you can get things delivered to your door. You don't have to go out to a restaurant anymore. You can just get the food sent to you. Like there's not that, and COVID impacted a lot of that, and I get it. But in general, I think we've traded community for convenience. And
Yeah.
in dating, that's really tough because what we're essentially asking of everyone is fall in love with a total stranger. Treat a total stranger in the way that you would treat someone that you're really interested in and you really want to pursue, but you really don't know this person. And that's tough. And we can't put all the blame on men. I mean, men do a lot of terrible things, but I see how it would be really difficult to decide like who am I going to pursue as a man, because I don't know these women. But at the same time, I think there needs to be a higher level of just basic respect and courtesy in getting to know someone, even if they are a stranger, because there have been a
Mm.
lot of just terrible things that men put women through. At least that's the perspective that I've seen it
Yeah.
through. That it makes us really jaded and it makes us really like, you know what, if this is how it's going to be, and I'm not interested. And
Yeah.
that's how I felt for a really long time, that it's like,
Really.
if this is how I'm going to be treated, then I'm just not interested in any of this. I think that's valid.
Yeah.
And, you know, again, I think that comes back to men see women as so like disposable that it's like, well, I could just get another one. I can just swipe and take someone else out if this person isn't giving me what I want.
Yeah.
Or the illusion of choice, the illusion of
Yeah.
options, that it's like, well, I see all these girls on Instagram and I can just send them a DM. And it's like, yeah, but would they actually see you though? No.
No.
Like the phones give us this sense of choice that you
Yeah.
may not actually have. So I think that that can be applied with everyone. And I know I'm kind of being like heteronormative with like the dating thing, but that's all I can speak to. That's all I have personal experience with. So that's kind of my perspective on it.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. And I was going to say actually before you mentioned the word choice, I think part of the huge issue, and I think actually this is not only just in the dating world, but I think it also speaks to problems in relationships as well, because I think the advent of phones and the internet and just the fact that we have so much available at the end of our arm holding this
Hmm.
device. I think it actually can potentially cause problems in relationships. And I know women who have had issues with men who are just glued to their phone, and it's led to not good things. And
Yeah.
I think so, not only for men in the dating world, there is just this is the thing, and even if they're slightly deluded and the choice that they think they have, they wouldn't necessarily, be able to take every
Yeah.
single woman, you know what I mean? But
Yep.
I think it is a really big problem when you have too much choice, because where does it ever end? There's
Yeah.
always going to be someone prettier or younger or whatever it is. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
when it comes to guys, if they think that they can just keep on flicking, and it's like, well, the next one, the next one, there's just so much choice. And I think, again, speaking to like issues in relationships, I think it's almost like it's opened up this portal of potential relationship issues that was never
Hmm.
there when I was
Yeah.
growing up. I also love what you were saying about it. It made me think how the thing about you said, you're asking strangers to fall in love. When I was growing up, like I'm nearly 50, I'm 49. Can I ask how old you are? You're much younger than me, aren't you?
I'm 32.
You're 32, right? So I'm
Yeah.
49. So when I was growing up, like I've all of my boyfriends, and I've had many boyfriends over the years, never once did I need internet dating to get a boyfriend. But what you said about strangers, it's so interesting because in the olden days when I was young,
Yeah.
you know, you always kind of knew them. And so often
Yes.
what would happen, and I think it's just such a shame that this doesn't happen anymore, because what I think of when it comes to like meeting a guy is that you start liking someone. It might be someone at work, or it might be a
Yes.
friend of a friend. You get introduced to somebody or whatever, and you see this person around, and
And
you
it
start
builds.
yeah, it built
Yes.
exactly. And then you find out, oh my God, you find out they fancy you too. And then there's this kind of
Yes.
like dance, and is he going to ask me out? And it's this just a whole completely different experience
Yes.
of dating. It's so much more kind of wholesome. And I've said before on this podcast that actually that is still possible. I've said this many times on the podcast, but if we removed every single dating app from off the planet now, if there was no such thing as a dating app, people would still get together. People would
Yes.
still hook up. People would still
Yeah.
get into relationships. And because people have said to me, "Oh, but it's just the way it is these days." It's like, well, yes and no. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean?
It is. I agree. And this is a conversation I had with my friend, my British friend, because I was saying I just don't believe in dating apps. I don't believe in them fundamentally. Like this is my Dorian, by the
Oh my God. Hello,
way. He's
gorgeous.
just been having a little sleep
Hi,
on my lap, but
darling.
he's
Oh, it's
getting
a little.
restless.
Well, funny enough. So, just for anyone who's listening to this rather than watching it, that was Rebecca's dog, and funny enough, I've got my cat on my lap, so we've both got our animals
Oh,
surrounding us.
love it. So I was saying I fundamentally don't like agree with the dating apps and how that all works because it's not natural. Like you're saying, it's not this it- starting out with a baseline of like, hey, I'm attracted to you and you're attracted to me, and we're still strangers and know nothing about each other is the most unnatural. Like humans were never supposed to interact in that way. Like that's not how we were designed. And so I was like, I don't like it. And she was saying, I hear you. And it's totally possible for you to meet someone in real life. But she's like, when you meet people in real life, you don't know if they're single. You don't know what what they're looking for. I work from home. I work remotely. So I don't have a ton of interaction with people. And so she was just making the case that's like, I know that you don't like it and you don't think you'll find your guy, but what if it was just to like start dating again so that you feel like you're in the flow of it You're not attached to it. Don't put so much pressure. And it's not even like, you're desperate for a relationship, but don't even put your hope in it. I think sometimes we put our hope in this and it doesn't come from a place of lack or desperation. It's just like, I really want this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm happy, but I also really want this. And that's okay.
Yeah.
But I think we need to temper that back too, so that we don't just feel crushed when, something doesn't work out. Because
Yeah.
the likelihood is nothing's going to work out until it does,
Yeah.
or if it does.
Yeah.
Because again, I'm a big fan of saying, yeah, you may never meet anyone.
Hmm.
And what does that feel like in your body? Does that feel like, oh my God, the world is ending if I never meet someone? Well, then that's a bigger kind of question. But I agree with the dating app stuff. It's tough, it's not natural, but I think it can be a
Mm.
tool in your toolkit if you want to go on a date.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me ask you the question then that you just said. So, if you knew that you were going to be single for the rest of your life, how does that make you feel?
Well, if you would have asked me that a year ago, I probably would have started crying. Because I'm a Scorpio. I don't know if you're into like zodiac,
I
whatever. I'm a
am. My
Scorpio.
sister's a Scorpio.
Yeah, we are very passionate, very committed, very loyal, very intense people. And when we love hard, we love forever. And so that's really like something that I want. But I've had to, again, just challenge some of these cultural conditioning, social conditioning that especially tells women if a man hasn't chosen you, then you're not worth anything. Challenging that to just think like, okay, well, a lot of men have chosen me. So this is my story. It's not everyone's, but a lot of men have chosen me and I didn't choose them back. So that isn't true. Like what that voice is telling me, like, well, that's not actually true because a lot of men have tried to choose me and I didn't choose them back. So I'll either choose a man who's going to add really good things into my life, or I'll just keep the really good life that I have. And so for me, about a year ago, I said, you know what? I'm going to buy an apartment. I'm going to stop moving around. I'm going to put down roots somewhere. That was something that I was like, well, I don't want to put down roots because what if I meet someone who doesn't live where I live? And then, I have to make this big change in order to be with them. But I was like, nope, I'm going to put down roots. I'm going to buy an apartment. I'm going to get a dog.
Hmm.
So I got my dog. And I really also was like, okay, then if this is just going to be me forever, I have to be much more intentional about investing and finances and
Hmm.
making sure that like I'm going to be okay
Yeah.
if it is just me. Because yes, I'm saving a ton of money because I don't have children. But if I'm going to be a single income household, that's hard in
Mm.
today's economy. That's hard. I can make it work, but I think that's a big thing women also
Yeah.
sidestep or they don't think about because they just kind of assume like, well, I'll get married and then
Yeah.
it'll be his. We'll figure that out together.
Yeah.
So that was another thing that was like,
And it's definitely something that many, many single women, this is one of their biggest worries,
yeah,
the financial side of it.
yep,
I think I'm just in denial because I genuinely, I don't worry about it. But I think that is partly because I've kind of got my head buried in the sand. And it's also partly because I just have this faith that things are going to work out. I
yeah,
don't mean that I think they're going to work out in terms of I'm going to meet a guy and he's going to like, quote, save me. That not at all. I just feel like I trust that things are going to work out for me. And that includes
hmm,
financially. So I don't worry about it. But I know that it is something that a lot of single women really do worry about. Now, Rebekah, I just want to quote you. I quite like doing this. I quite like finding quotes that my guests have said and then just kind of throwing them out there. And this one I thought was really, really interesting. I read somewhere that you said this: the sooner women everywhere stop putting relationships on a pedestal of unrealistic expectations, emotional or otherwise, the sooner we will stop robbing ourselves of enjoying the present moment. Yes,
yeah,
I just love that quote. So tell us what you were thinking when you said that or wrote that.
yes. So one day my prince will come. Like this idea of like one day, the fairy tale story of like one day a man will come into my life and just like fix everything or whisk me away, and all of these problems, whether it's financial or emotional, my loneliness, all of that will go away. I think that we've internalized this belief, not no, to no fault of our own. We're told this a lot in different ways. But what it does, we put so much of our hope in my relationship will fulfill all of my loneliness. I won't feel lonely anymore if I just have the right relationship. Or if I have the right relationship, I'll never be bored. I'll never be, um, maybe the relationship fixes all your financial problems that we were talking about, right? We have so much pressure on the husband, right? That it's like my partner, my person.
Mm.
And at the end of the day, I think first we need to be a little more practical about we're dealing with humans, right? Like there's not going to be a perfect person who fixes all of your life problems. But when you're constantly looking forward to something, you miss what's right in front of you.
Yeah.
If you're constantly thinking, well, it would be better if I was with someone, you're with yourself. You're doing it right now. Stop getting into your head about how it could have been better or how you shouldn't have had to do this alone or whatever, and try to enjoy what you're doing. So I travel by myself a lot. So I do solo traveling. And I always had it in my mind. And actually, when I was engaged, I had the opportunity to go to Paris and I wanted him to come with me. And he said no. He was like, "Oh, I have to work. I have to whatever." There's a lot of reasons why that didn't work out. So I was like, I'm still going to Paris. Like I'm going on this trip because I want to go to Paris. And when I was there, I was walking around, I'm like, oh, it would have been so much better if he had come along. And I stopped myself and I was like, well, actually, maybe it wouldn't have been because he probably would have been complaining about that fact we have to walk everywhere or this or that. And so sometimes we just need to get grounded in the present moment and be like, maybe it could have been this or that if some other person was here with me, but this is where I am right now. How can I enjoy this to the fullest and stop telling myself that because I'm single, it's somehow a lesser version of this thing, because that's not true.
Yeah.
If you look back, like how many times, and I use the birthday as an example, if you've dated men, how many times has your boyfriend ruined your birthday, made you cry on your birthday, ruined the party? It's probably happened at least once. It's happened for me a lot of times. It's like
Yeah.
they don't always add good things. Sometimes they make it worse.
Yeah. So
So I think
true.
that's where I was coming from with that quote, that it's like just it's not always true that
Yeah.
something could be better if you have your partner with you. It could
Yeah.
be that you just need to take advantage of where you are right now.
Completely. And ultimately, all we ever have is now. All we
Yes.
ever have. And the thing is, this whole concept, like, we've all heard of this, the power of now and, the whole Eckhart Tolle conversation. And, there's lots of people talking about this. But I wonder how many of us have actually fully clocked the meaning of that, which is literally all we have is right now. And anything that we think is going to happen in the future, anything that we're waiting for, living for, all of those things will also be right now, because the
Hmm.
present moment is literally all we have. So if we can't learn to enjoy where we are right now, we're literally missing our entire life. So,
Yeah.
I love what you said just then. I think it's so, so, so true. We have to, we can't wait around for a hypothetical person who may or may not enhance any given experience, whether it be Paris or, Monument Valley, which happens to be
Yeah.
my favorite place in the world. But do you know what I mean? It's like it just, it's kind of crazy. And you mentioned earlier, to no fault of our own, like we've been conditioned as women to think that we need a man to be able, before our life begins. But I talk about how ultimately we've got to take responsibility for our lives. And we kind of have a choice. Either
Mhm.
we allow ourselves to continue living a half life while we're waiting for somebody who may or may not show up. And even if they do, well, who knows how that's going to go anyway. Or we just go, hang on a minute. this is my fucking life. I better
Yeah.
start living it, you know?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
anyway, thank you for saying that or writing that, because I thought it was an absolutely brilliant quote.
Thank
Now,
you.
Rebecca, in your opinion, for the single women out there who perhaps aren't feeling happily single,
Yeah.
how can they start to enjoy their lives more? What can they do practically?
Well, I think the place that you have to start is asking yourself, like, well, what is it about singleness that you believe is lesser?
Yeah.
Like, you have to get to the belief system that's causing you to feel that way. And maybe it's not super deep for you. Maybe it's just like, well, it would be nice to have someone around to help with like general life things. Like, I want a partner. And I felt that. And I still feel that sometimes. And that's okay. But wanting that doesn't need to mean that that defines what your life is about right now. Like, yeah, that would be great. But not having that is not an excuse for just like being miserable,
Mm,
right? Um, and
yeah.
I think maybe just like if you want a really tangible thing, ask yourself, like, yeah, what is it that you would want your life to be about? What do you want your life to be about? What do you want to look back 5 years from now and be really glad that you did? Because for me, like when I went to London, that was, I'm so glad that I did that. And that's something that if I were married, no, I would not have been able to go to London for 6 months and be like, bye, husband. I'm going to go hang
Mm,
out with my friend. Investing in friendships.
yeah.
Friendships will typically outlast any relationship that you have, unless it's the one that, lasts forever, whatever that is. Invest in your friendships and just, yeah, figure out who you really are, because women lose their identities within their relationships all the time. And I think we very quickly give that up.
Yeah.
If you look at women's Instagram bios or whatever, it's wife, mother, sister.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Yeah.
You've
Oh,
told me your relationship to everyone else, but you've told me nothing about who you are. I know nothing about who you are. And I think that we like that. I think that we like to hide behind that, which again, to no fault of our own, because living in the world as a woman is scary.
yeah.
People really don't like when women have their own opinions.
Yeah.
People really don't like when women stand for something. So if we stand behind our title of wife, mother, sister, daughter, whatever, we don't actually have to face ourselves.
Yeah.
And so if you're brave and if you want to face yourself, that's where I would start. That it's like, well, who are you?
Yeah.
And again, if you never get married, if you never meet that person, what would you have wanted to spend your life doing?
Yeah.
It's kind of a big question, but I feel like we need to ask those big questions to wake ourselves up a little bit, to be like, wait, yeah, what am I doing? What am I doing? And another thing, so I cut my hair recently. I don't know if you saw that from your like
I
research of
did. I
whoever I
did.
am. So I used to
How
have
does it
long,
feel?
thick, highlighted, hair, whatever. And I was always curious. I was like, I think I could pull off really short hair. Like, I think it could look good.
And it does,
But
by
I
the
never
way.
did it because I'm like, oh, I don't think men are going to go for that. I don't think I'm at my most attractive if I had really short hair. And earlier this year, I was like, wow, what a really lame thing to use as an excuse to not try something. Like, why don't you just do it? So I did it. And I'm loving it. I think that it's so cool. I think that it's so easy. I get more compliments on my hair than I ever have in my life, all from women, but still, women know what looks good.
Yeah.
And so that's an example, a really tangible thing of like, what's something that you feel like you wouldn't be able to do if you were dating that you want to try? Maybe it's changing your hair. Maybe it's, I don't know, dressing a certain way. Like, enjoy your freedom a little bit and
Mm.
use that as a way to test some of these beliefs and value systems. That's like, oh, so I think that the only way I can have a partner in life is if I am at my most attractive based on the patriarchal beauty standard.
Yeah. And do you know what? I have seen your hair, and yes, you did have absolutely beautiful, as you say, long, thick, gorgeous
Yeah.
hair, no question. But number one, you fucking carry it off, by the way. And you do. And number two, may I just say how incredibly brave it was of you to do that? It really is. And I think that takes a lot of funnily enough, I actually cut my hair short when I was in my early 20s. And it was funny because it was something that quite a few of us girls did back then. I mean, this was years and years and years ago. And the reason I bring this up is because I remember, but basically, you're too young to remember this, but there is a, I mean, you'll have heard of Helena Christensen, the model Helena Christensen. Well, basically, back when I was young, she was like one of the biggest models of the 90s. She's absolutely super hot, drop dead gorgeous. She's Danish, I think. Anyway, she's amazing and absolutely beautiful. And basically, she cut her hair short back in the day, and it looked absolutely amazing because she's a model. Not that it can't look amazing on someone who's not a model, but obviously it was going to look, likely to look good on her because she is a top model or was a top model. And I remember taking a photo of Helena Christensen into my hairdresser and going, I want to look like her with short hair. And of course, when my hair was cut like Helena Christensen, I obviously didn't look anything like Helena Christensen. And
Right.
I want to ask you this because I will never forget the feeling of what I think is so interesting about having your hair cut really short, like you've got it and like I had it,
Yeah.
is the fact that I didn't realize how much I hide behind my hair. And I felt fucking naked.
Yeah.
I felt naked. And I remember walking down the street and feeling like so vulnerable because I didn't have my hair to hide behind. And it wasn't something that had ever even occurred to me. So I want to
Yeah.
ask you about that because did you feel that?
Yes.
Right,
And it shocked me
right.
because I thought of myself as a very confident person, very comfortable in who I am, but to your point, wasn't even aware that the hair was kind of a protection, like a layer that I could play with, that I could style, but it also, covers your neck.
Yeah.
And I've never lived as an adult with my neck exposed like this or my jaw exposed in this way. And I remember when she cut the initial cut, I felt in my body this like something, I'm losing a limb here. Like there's something that's really being severed and it's a very exposing feeling. And I liked that because it challenged me. It like really held up a mirror, literally and figuratively, held up a mirror to like, wow, what were you holding on to?
Yeah.
You really felt like this hair was, part of who you were, which it is. And hair is very much of our identity as women. And again, I think it's just that much more important to challenge and experiment and just see how it
Mm,
feels
mm.
because I've also never felt more like powerful, I'll say,
Really?
because it's like just me existing as I look right now is a resistance or a dismissive act of the beauty standard,
Yeah.
right? Like when someone sees a young, attractive, fit woman, they want to see the long hair, maybe the blonde hair, whatever it is. And it's like, no, I'm not going to be that. I'm going to be who I am and how I want to present myself. And that was something that I had to process through and kind of be like, oh, this is
It's
this
a
is something
lot.
I didn't expect. But that
It,
feeling of being vulnerable, being exposed, that's very real. And I
it
did not
is.
expect that.
Yeah. It's a big deal, isn't it? I
Yeah.
mean, it really is. And I think you feel, don't you, like it's like, and this is why it's such a great thing to do actually, because it's kind of like when you peel that back, it's like, well, here I am. Well, this is
Mm-hmm.
me. This is
Yep.
me. And I don't have this long, glossy hair to hide behind anymore. Because, and again, I felt like that when I did it. You felt like that when you did it. And the scary thing is that until you get rid of it, you don't realize. Actually, it makes me think about people who've had to lose their hair through cancer. And it's
Mm-hmm.
made me think, or, or other diseases,
Mm-hmm.
and how incredibly difficult that is and
Yeah.
how that must feel. And in fact, it's making me think of, I'm sure you've seen them. There's been a few videos that have gone around, certainly on Instagram, actually that are the most kind of heartwarming. I mean, the world is in a complete state at the moment, and it's videos like this that just kind of remind you that human beings are inherently good. Most of us are kind and good, but there's this one particular reel that I saw where a lady was shaving her head because she was going to lose her hair to cancer. And she was in this hairdresser, and there's like three other guys who were working in the hairdresser. They all just came up behind her. They got their like razor and they just all shaved their heads right in front of her at kind of in solidarity, which was just so amazing.
Yeah.
But it's funny, isn't it? How, hair it is a protector, and
Yeah.
especially for women. So good for you. I'm interested to know, as the weeks have gone by, are you feeling it more? Are you kind of leaning into it more?
Yeah, so I did this in June. It's now October. I've had my hair cut maybe 5 times since. And I did the initial cut, and then the next time I went in, I went even shorter. I used Emma Stone's picture from, I don't know what event she was at, but the really, really short pixie Emma Stone, that's what I had for a bit as well. And I do really like it. And I look back on myself at pictures with the long hair, and I'm kind of like, I think I look better with short. Like it exposed my jawline. I didn't really realize I had a jawline before because it's just, you get caught up with the hair. And yeah, I'm really liking it.
I mean, you are rocking it. You are very much carrying it off, and I love it, and it looks great. And you're beautiful anyway. You're naturally
Thank you.
gorgeous. So, but no, it's such an interesting topic. Now, I want to ask you about the most wonderful things about single life, the things that you love the most, and I also want to ask you about any of the things that you struggle with. So let's
Right.
start with the things that you love the most about your single life.
Oh, I love that no one bothers me. No one's texting me. I've been in some relationships with men who are very clingy, very possessive, and the constant, what are you doing? Good morning. What did you have for lunch? What did you do this? What, like, stop. Like, I'm very, I don't have my notifications on my phone. I don't have anything beeping or buzzing or any of that. Because again, I want to be grounded in the present moment. And if your phone's always going off, you can't have that. So I actually really love being left alone. So I love just like my days are my own. I can do things at my own pace. I love being able to eat whatever I want and not cook for myself. Like I just last night had some popcorn for dinner. Like I'm a very much girl dinner person. So not having to worry or think about like planning meals with someone else or coordinating any of that of like, oh, have you eaten yet? Let's go have dinner. Like anything like that. That's really nice. Oh, well, sleeping alone. And again, if you would have asked me this years ago, I'd be like, oh no, I love to cuddle. I do love to cuddle, but sleeping with a man, just the practicality of it
Yeah.
is so annoying. I mean, they usually snore. They're like getting up out of the bed. Like,
It's a thing.
I
It's a
love
whole
my
thing.
sleep. I love my sleep. I love my bed. And ugh, that's
What's
really
so
nice.
f- what's so funny is that, like, I also, like you, I love cuddling. I love cuddling up
Yeah,
to a guy when I'm in love.
love that.
But the funny thing is that when you've been single for a certain amount of time, like now, I cannot fathom having a guy in my bed and having to wake up and deal with a guy in my bed. It's like, oh my God,
Yeah.
it's so funny how you just you become so accustomed to sleeping alone. It's so funny. I'll never forget the very, very first interview I ever did for this podcast with the wonderful, wonderful Joe Good. If you haven't heard of her, you should check her out. She's middle-aged minx on Instagram, and she's 70 and she's fucking awesome. She just
Okay.
rocks her single childless life. Like she's
Yeah.
fabulous. And we had this hilarious conversation for this first interview I did for the podcast where she was just so hilarious about how she hates, having, she doesn't want a guy with like his legs and his ass like hanging out of the bed, and it's just
And
so
my
funny.
house is so clean. Like I will
Yeah.
say that too. Like my bathroom sink is clean. Everything about my bathroom is clean. Yeah, I just the men are they're just messy.
Yeah.
And yeah, dirty.
Yeah.
Not even like them themselves, but like they leave messes behind and like dirty things. Unless they're very specific about like cleaning up after themselves, which some of them can be, and that's amazing. I love that. But you know.
Now, what about the harder sides of being single? Are there any things that you particularly struggle with, or things that you find challenging? I mean, I always talk about, like, because to be honest, like not even joking, but because I'm very happily single and just really not even thinking about the relationship. Not to say one might not happen down the line, because who
Yeah.
knows? But I'm at a place where I'm really not even thinking at all. Like I
Yeah.
wonder, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But the one thing that always comes up when I think, the only time I think, oh, fuck, I could do with a bloke here right now, is when something practical goes wrong.
Yes. When
You
something
know?
breaks or
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I am fairly handy. So I'm up for a challenge to fix things when they break. But I think when it's just like taking out the garbage, breaking down cardboard boxes, when every time I have to bring all these boxes out to the thing and use my box cutter and cut, I'm like, like it would be nice to say, "Hey, babe, can you take those boxes out?" Like that would be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I also hate
Um,
breaking down cardboard boxes. It's such a pain in the ass.
it's
It feels like a
so
real
annoying. And my
effort.
hands, I've got these like tiny, delicate little fingers. It's like so difficult. So I have a box cutter that I use so that I don't have to, yeah, use my hands. So that's one for sure. I also, there's something very special about when you get dressed up and you put on your perfume and you put on your jewelry and you're looking your best and you go out for dinner, you go out for a lunch. There's something really nice about sharing that with a man, having him take you out and feeling like a princess, feeling
Mm,
like, yes, he's taking care of me and this is this nice thing. Like I feel it sometimes
mm.
then when I'm like looking good out and about. Women are complimenting me. Oh, you have such nice style. Oh, I love your hair. It's just kind of this like, okay, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
It would be nice to be appreciated by a man.
Yeah.
That can sting sometimes. But like I said, that's why I've gone on a couple dates now. And so then I've gotten that. Like, okay, like you can have that without having that in your bed every night.
Yeah.
Having to be around him all the time. So I
Do
would
you
say
feel
that.
excited about this guy that you've had 2 dates with?
You know, he surprised me. He's really nice. He's really good company. He's someone that I feel comfortable around. But again, I don't know. I like him. I like the times that I've had with him, but we'll see. Like, I'm not gonna think too far in the future about it.
Now, before we start thinking about wrapping up, let me ask you two. Is it okay if I just ask you two more questions?
Yeah, yep.
Because I wanted to just go back to loneliness,
Okay.
because I get really frustrated when people assume that single women are automatically lonely the whole time, when actually
Right.
everybody experiences loneliness, because it's a part of the human experience. And you mentioned at the beginning, and I couldn't agree more, how it gets, single and lonely kind of get conflated, and they're not the same thing. One does not equal the other.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think this is the classic projection of single, lonely men telling us and trying to scare us into being with them by saying you're going to be single and alone, you're going to be single and lonely, for the rest of your life, you're going to be alone. And so we internalize that single and lonely is something we kind of tie together.
Yeah.
But again, I think you just need to be honest with yourself and say, okay, when was the time you felt the loneliest? Like, when was your absolute loneliest? Because, again, for me, it was the times where I was in this relationship. I had expectations of my partner. He was not fulfilling them.
Mm,
And that, having an unmet expectation from someone who, well, if anyone, it should be you who does this for me,
yeah.
that feels like more loneliness, more neglect.
Mm,
Neglect is the worst form of loneliness, I think, than, me being out at a restaurant by myself enjoying a dinner alone.
yeah.
And I think when you don't know how to enjoy your own company, that's when the loneliness can set in.
Mm,
But then I would ask, is it that you're not lonely when you're with someone, or is it just that you're distracted when
mm,
you're with someone?
yeah.
Because we seek these distractions a lot to distract ourselves from loneliness. But that I think comes from the relationship with yourself. And again, you can solve for loneliness through a lot of different things. And
Mm.
having my dog, Dorian, has filled up my like companionship cup
Oh,
to the top. I'm like, oh, actually, I just needed a dog. Like that's what I
yes.
really needed.
Oh
Some
my
kind of
God.
companionship, some cute little thing to cuddle with. And then a man can fill other roles in my life, but a man doesn't have to fill all of these things. So I think the single and lonely thing is just that's a projection.
Yeah.
It's not accurate. And if we're honest with ourselves, the loneliest we've ever been is probably when someone was not fulfilling an expectation we had.
Yeah. Such a great point. Tell me a bit more about your dog because I feel the exact same way about my beloved cat. All my listeners know this. And I mean, how wonderful are animals? And it's so true that you really can get so much of the kind of connection, affection from a pet.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just breaking down. Okay, well, what is it that you're lonely? Is it you need companionship? Is it that you need affection? Like, is it that you need socialization? You need activities? Like, what is it?
Yeah.
And then solving for those individual things. Because, yeah, my dog has been great. He's the one that I cuddle on the couch with and watch TV after I'm done working. He's there when I get home and greets me.
Yeah.
And, I give him little cuddles and kisses, and he sleeps in my bed with me, and it's totally fine.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he's just been this great companion. And I
Yeah.
think, again, we forget, and this comes back to you're putting all of this pressure on a hypothetical man. He's going to be my companion. He's going to be, this and that, and all of these things. And it's like, well, he might be, maybe, but like you can get those things from other places.
Yeah.
And in fact, sometimes that's a better fit, that
Yeah.
it's like a dog is a great companion. And again, it's like the cat for you, we are warned by culture about the things that we actually should have, like the lonely single cat lady. Well, actually, getting a cat is going to make you enjoy your life more.
Yeah.
But if you're afraid to become a cat lady, you're like, well, I'm not going to get a cat because then I'm a cat lady. Well, actually, now you're more vulnerable to being stuck in a bad relationship because what you actually wanted was a companion.
Yeah. Yeah. You made such a good point about how you can get all of those different things. Like it, of course, a romantic relationship is a very specific kind of relationship that you can
Yeah.
only get a romantic relationship from a romantic relationship, obviously. But we can get certain other things through other sources, whether it's people or pets or, whoever else. Rebekah, thank you so much for your time. Before we finish, just tell our listeners and me, what does it mean to you to thrive solo? That's the name of this podcast. So I always, or normally ask, this is the last question, but what does it mean to you to thrive solo?
Thriving solo is living your life without waiting for something to happen.
Yeah.
And that can be without waiting for a relationship, without waiting for your friends to be able to afford to go on the trip with you, without just stop waiting to live your life until people are ready to live it with you
Yeah.
and go do it. That's how you thrive when you're solo because you're not depending on anyone else to be able to do the things that you want to do.
Yeah. Absolutely love that. How can people find you and follow you?
TikTok and Instagram at Rebekah Buege. It's
And can you just
spelled a
spell your
crazy
surname?
way. Yes, spelled a crazy way. So look at it. I'm sure you'll have it spelled out somewhere. But yeah, TikTok and Instagram at Rebekah Buege. Mhm.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for your time. It's been absolutely awesome to speak to you, sending you lots of love.
Thank you. It was great. Great
You're
conversation,
welcome.
Steve.